Alright, my first video in the new setup. You know, a lot of people ask, how do you get into this space right here? And the only response I have to that question is carefully. Very, very carefully. Hello all my otaku friends, my name is Profitaku and welcome back to my channel for my May manga reading log. I know this is coming out a little bit later than I normally do, but I think you could tell I was just a little bit busy. But in May, we hit a new record for reading manga and light novels, 76 volumes this month. Absolutely insane. So many things to go over and I hope you're excited as much as I am. Stay tuned. This reading log is going to be broken down into several different categories: new series, ongoing series, and it's all going to be done by publisher. So if you'd like to skip to a specific part of the video, I'll leave timestamps down in the description. This first section is going to dive into the new series that I read from Yen Press, and as always, thanks so much to the team at Yen Press for sending me manga for review purposes. I graciously appreciate their trust in me to review their manga on the channel. Let's start off with a criminally underrated series, the first 2 volumes of She Loves to Cook, She Loves to Eat. This is a Yuri cooking manga following 2 women who are going through life. They both live in the same apartment complex. One loves to cook and one loves to eat, and they share this friendship and even more. This manga has so many great things going for it. A really simple art style, but great character design, really well written characters that are super interesting, and the cooking aspect is really fun, and I really enjoy all the recipes being made. This is a super underrated LGBTQ plus series, and I highly recommend you check it out if you've never explored this genre of manga before. Next up is a chonky boy from the Madoka Magica Quartet. We have Suzune Magica, and this is a really interesting 3-volume omnibus. It doesn't follow any of our OG cast of characters from Madoka Magica. It follows a new set of magical girls as they're going around doing magical girl things, and there's a magical girl assassin on the loose. I love the Madoka Magica manga, but let me say this if you are interested in trying out any of the Madoka Magica series. The manga is a great way to get into it because there are only 3-volume omnibuses. That's kind of the restriction that they had in making the manga, but I will say this about the actual storytelling. It takes like 2 volumes for the actual story of all the series to develop, and then volume 3 is where they do the big mic drop and everything just kind of happens, and you can kind of be like looking around going, what is going on? And honestly, it's kind of the same thing here. It felt like 2 volumes and then a one-shot is the last 3rd volume, which is fine, but I was definitely very confused. The premise of this manga was super intriguing, and I was like really excited to see where this went, but it just felt like the ending fell flat. There are just some things that came out of left field. I was like, what is going on? So do I recommend this? Maybe not. If you are a fan of Madoka Magica, I do recommend it, but I definitely don't think this should be your first series. Here with one of my favorite new series that I tried this month, and that is Magical Girl Incident. This was a very fun volume 1 following a guy who turns into a magical girl. If you'd like some more information on it, I did a YouTube short on it. I highly recommend you check it out. Now here we go with one of the most disappointing reads. Big warning, red flags, don't pick this up, and that is Yokohama Station Volume 1. This is set in a dystopian world where this thing is eating up the landmass of Japan, and it follows this guy as he lives in this underground village. I had such high expectations for this manga, but where it fell flat was just the storytelling. It was like dumping all this information out that just didn't need to be dumped out, and then the things I was actually intrigued about just never got answered in the first volume. It's only a 3-volume series, so when a first volume leaves me with more questions than answers, I'm definitely wary to keep going with this. So yeah, I was sorely disappointed with this, and I don't think I will be continuing it. Another intriguing volume 1 is What This World Is Made Of, and it's a really interesting premise following these 2 brothers as they download this mobile game where they're going around doing these odd jobs, killing monsters and getting money. There are some layers in this manga that have been presented but have not been explored, so there is potential for further coolness going on. But with that being said, I thought volume 1 was pretty shallow, lots of action, no substance. I hope that we get to explore more of what this world is made of. But the powers are really cool, the action is drawn well, and I'm definitely invested to see where this goes. One of my favorite new series this month was my Dear Curse Casting, I can't even say it. God. One of my favorite new series this month was my Dear Curse Casting Vampirist Volume 1. This was just totally out of left field, and I absolutely loved it. This manga is set in a world where you have two sides. You have humans, and then you have these vampires who prey on the humans. Sounds kind of stereotypical, but here's the twist. The twist of this manga is that there's this lore going around about a vampire who teamed up with humans in the past to destroy the vampires, but she's actually locked up somewhere. And so starts this unlikely partnership as they go to fight the evil in this really dark and gruesome world. The storytelling in this first volume was absolutely fantastic. Just enough investment into the world to keep myself interested with the info dumping, but a perfect balance of action with all the different characters too. The bad guy enemies are phenomenal. They're super cool. I'm very much invested into the character partnership. I cannot wait to see where this goes and see how these layers are unsheathed. But yes, highly recommend this if you're interested in vampires, romance, or just great gritty action. Moving on to something a little bit more furry, we have Me and My Beast Boss Volume 1. This is set in a world where humans and beasts work together, and this story follows this human secretary who works as an assistant to the boss CEO, who is a beast lion. This story is cute enough. I really wanted to love it, but I just like it. I'm intrigued by the story. I'm not invested in the world. Even though this is the first volume, the episodes seem to be really monotonous, which was really weird to me. So I do want to give this one another try, but it definitely is on the chopping block. It's just super cute, and I really do like the dynamic of the relationship, and I do like the interesting side characters that play into this story. So yeah, take it or leave it. I'm more on the take it side. And last up from the new series from Yen Press, we have Manner of Death Volume 1. This is a boys love thriller mystery series. It's only 2 volumes long. The story follows a coroner doctor who gets caught up in this conspiracy after an apparent suicide is not being considered a suicide by him after looking at the body. Thus starts this tumultuous, crazy drama. This was a pretty good first volume, surprisingly. The characters are interesting. However, I think there are too many characters. You really kind of need a character map to just kind of figure out what's going on, because there is a lot of info dumping in this first volume just to set things up for the last volume, which is obviously the next one. So in terms of action, it definitely is a little bit more slow paced, but you will be rewarded with actually a pretty interesting story and really interesting characters. So give this one a try if you want something short and sweet that will just kind of keep your interest going throughout the whole thing. Just one new series from the Kodansha vertical conglomerate, and that is Welcome to Demon School Uruma-kun Volume 1. This is not something that I generally pick up, but I was intrigued by it from the high ratings. This follows a human boy who goes to demon school, and he's trying to hide the fact that he's a human around all these demons. It was a lot of fun. It reminded me a lot of Saturday morning cartoons. Very fast-paced, really interesting story actually. It seems kind of bare bones at first, but then you realize there's a lot of cool layers going on, and I'm really intrigued to see how he interacts with the rest of the cast of characters in this really fun world. So yeah, I will be picking up Volume 2. This is great. I actually did misspeak. We have one new manga series from Kodansha, and that is In the Clear Moonlit Dust by Mika Yamamori. This is one of my favorite shoujo mangakas. The story premise is super interesting. It follows a girl who is nicknamed the Prince. She has more of a masculine look to her, and she kind of saves the day and helps females and males alike in the school. And then you have this guy who is considered the other prince of the school, and thus they start their unsuspecting friendship, even though they definitely do butt heads at the beginning. This is a phenomenal shoujo starter manga if you're looking for something super wholesome with a great strong female lead who does a lot of great things and has great character development. Even in the first volume, the dynamic between the characters is fantastic, and I love Mika Yamamori's artwork. Her character designs are just fantastic. It is very paced well through these first 3 volumes, so I highly recommend this and any of her other series. From 7 Seas, we have 2 new series to talk about. First up is the first 2 volumes of Asumi-chan is Interested in Lesbian Brothels. No, you degenerates, I am not going to show any of the manga panels inside because it will burn your eyeballs out. But what I will say about this is, yes, it's exactly what you think it is in terms of the ecchi side, but it's actually a really interesting story. It follows this girl Azumi-chan who wants to explore her sexual side, and so she does this through lesbian brothels, but she's actually trying to find one of her friends from childhood who confessed her love to her. So it's actually super sweet with all these girls interacting with each other. So actually, if you want an ecchi series with some good context in here, I actually recommend this a lot. And last up from 7 Seas is the manga adaptation of Until I Meet My Husband. This was really good. I love autobiographical manga. I think it's it's a really interesting way to look at manga in a different way, and this does a great job with the storytelling. What I really like about this manga is even though it presents a timeline of events in the mangaka's life, it's a more introspective look. So you get the event and then you get how he felt and kind of the inner turmoil he's going through as he's trying to discover his sexuality. It's very well done. It was really interesting to kind of see this perspective of Japanese homosexuality, especially in the time where Japanese marriage in terms of homosexuality was not legal at this point. So yes, it's very well done, very highly rated, and for good reason. I highly recommend it if you're looking for a good one shot. And for the last section of new manga, we are stopping by Viz Media and we're taking a look at the first 6 volumes of Daytime Shooting Star. This story is also by Mika Yamamori, and it follows a country bumpkin as she moves to Tokyo to start her new life in high school. Does that sound a little familiar? But I will put a warning in here. This is an age gap romance specifically between teacher and student, so if you don't even want to dabble in that, I do not recommend this series. But just like in The Clear Moonlit Dust, this is very well written. Suzume as a main character is absolutely phenomenal. The whole cast of characters is very well written. Yeah, there's some pacing issues and some glimpses into other characters' lives that seem a little bit disjointed. This is actually her first longer series, so you can definitely tell that she's kind of figuring out the ropes, but once she does around the halfway point, it's a very, very fun story. So just like all the other Yamamori sensei works, if you're looking for the series that kind of started it all for her, this is the one you're going to check out. Next up is the first volume of Love's in Sight, and it follows this bad boy who gets into a relationship with this girl who is legally blind, and it's their hijinks together. Super cute, super wholesome, really interesting shtick that is presented well throughout this manga. The only complaint that I have is that it is a 4-koma, and the 4-koma definitely doesn't flow as well as some of the other manga series that I've read that's a 4-koma, such as like Tomo-chan is a girl. So if you aren't into 4-koma manga, then maybe this one isn't for you, but if you're looking for a really funny story with it only being 8 volumes long as well, then this is going to be the one for you. Just like Daytime Shooting Star, the bulk of my reading this month was spent reading this series, Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible volumes 1 to 7. The story is super cute. It follows this boy who's invisible in the classroom. Nobody pays attention to him. Nobody really knows that he exists. Here comes Kubo, who does notice him and wants to foster a friendship with him. Totally stereotypical high school rom-com manga series, so if you just don't even want to touch that kind of baseline stuff, don't even get started with this because you're probably going to get bored really fast. But what I will say is that I just needed something like this month to just turn my brain off because I was just so stressed out from moving, and this completely filled that void. Super adorable, super funny. I really did enjoy all the episodes, and I love the cast of characters. All of them have a really fun role to play. I'm not annoyed with any of the characters, which probably is why I love this series so much. So yeah, if you're looking for a really fun rom-com, give this one a shot either online, or you can probably find this pretty cheap physically. And last up from Viz, we have Dark Gathering Volume 1. I will not talk about this right now. I plan to do a whole video on it, courtesy of Right Stuff Anime. Thank you guys so much for sending me this review copy. All right, we are continuing on with the ongoing manga series, but first off, I want to start with an online manga that I read. Obviously, it is not published in English, but that is Kono Oto Tomare. I read volumes 15 to 20. Now, I'm getting pretty deep into this high school music series, following these group of high schoolers as they learn to play the koto and go to nationals, very similar to Haikyuu if you love Haikyuu. And what I will say in these set of volumes is that things are starting to change. We are introduced to some new characters, and that always brings a red flag, especially when it involves the main cast, but this is done very, very well. It brings a new freshness to the series, and I cannot wait to see where this goes. So A+, great storytelling. All right, let's keep moving through with Yen Press ongoing stuff. I read volume 2 of Oshinoko. It's Oshinoko. Everybody loves it. Volume 2 really kind of kicks off where volume 1 left off in terms of starting what the crutch of the story is about, and it does a great job with setting some more things up. I still feel like this series hasn't really hit its stride. It's really kind of playing the long con, trying to set things up for some crazy stuff in the future, but nonetheless, I'm still invested because really the story is just so interesting and has so much potential. Next up, we have volumes 8 to 10 of Love of Kill. This continues to be an absolutely confusing confusing story. I will say one of the more substantial arcs gets wrapped up here, and then we're moving kind of into the final arc, which really kind of takes a different turn and really focuses on a different character. So this kind of wraps up everything that you want with one of our characters. And I think it was done really, really well, but I still needed to DM KK-chan as a girl and ask her what the hell was going on. This is definitely one I'm going to reread, but it is very confusing to follow. I will just give that warning there. Next up is a criminally underrated series, one that I did not think I was going to like, but Yen Press sent me volume 1. I was like, I'll just try it. And I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. And that is Mons Taboo. I read volumes 2 and 3. If you're looking for a really short 4-volume concise series, it's just really crazy, a really interesting romance, but there's also lots of action in a really, really cool world. Definitely check this one out. I won't just spew on the synopsis because it's hard to explain. Check it out yourself, but this has really intrigued me and it's kept me engaged throughout every single volume. So yeah, I cannot wait to see where volume 4 ends us off. Next up here is Horimiya volume 16. I would say that this is the final volume, but it's not the final volume because now we're getting a volume 17 in Japan. But if you are interested in my thoughts about this, no spoilers, of course, check out my YouTube short I did on it and just talking about my overall thoughts of the series. Another criminally underrated comedy manga here, we have Doomsday with My Dog volume 2. This is a post-apocalyptic 4-coma manga following this girl and this dog as they go through this wasteland together. This is not what you think it is. It's very much like witty humor, like Gintama or something like that. So if you like that type of humor, definitely recommend you check this one out. If you want more turn your brain off manga, then this isn't going to be the one for you. But I do love all the different scenarios that they get in. I love the dog character. He is so funny, and all of his interactions with all the other characters in this manga, and I also love that it is full color. It's really a nice release. Next up here are volumes 2 and 3 of Kowloon Generic Romance. This is a series that was super hot on MangaTube and Mangagram, and rightfully so. Volumes 2 and 3 really picked up where volume 1 left off. I was really curious to see how they balance the sci-fi supernatural aspect with this slice of life romance series, and they did a great job with balancing out, giving us little tidbits of information in each volume. So yes, I highly recommend it if you are looking for a story that's intriguing but also relaxing. Next up is a light novel, Bo Free, I Don't Want to Get Hurt, So I'll Max Up My Defense, volume 5. Actually, I will say I love Bo Free, but this was kind of a volume. Super boring, super slow, not that much action or like big impactful moments going on. So yeah, very much a forgettable thing. I hope that volume 6 kind of picks it up. Here we are with the manhwa. We have Villains Are Destined to Die volume 2, and it just picks straight off from volume 1. I love the Otome or Otome game. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it is just so interesting to see this girl interact with all these characters, trying to get their relationship points up so that they don't go turn around and kill her. It's a really interesting internal monologue that she has with herself, trying to navigate this world. So yeah, if you're looking for something really intriguing, it's not so much of a romance as it is more of like a drama series. So yeah, as a male reader, I'm really intrigued by this. I love the artwork and the full color. It's absolutely beautiful. This gets my highest recommendation if you want a manhwa. And last up from Yen Press, we have Honey Lemon Soda volume 2. And I'm sad to say I have decided to drop the series. Look, I'm sorry. I know this is a beloved series, but actually a lot of other manga tubers have expressed their displeasure with this series as well. And I think the big thing is the main character female. She's just absolutely insufferable. She has just no redeeming qualities about her. She continues the shtick in volume 2 as she did in volume 1. You think she's getting better as a character, and then she takes 2 steps backwards. It's a really frustrating read and not one that I'd like to continue. Let's move on to Kodansha and vertical stuff. We have 3 volumes of Fire Force here. I read volumes 30, 31, and 32. And what I will say about Fire Force is thank God this is almost over at 34 volumes, because this series continues to get more and more confusing. More and more things are getting added, and is honestly kind of turning me off from the series. I think you really got to put your thinking caps on when you read Fire Force, especially near the end, because it basically goes from like 0 to 100 like super fast. And from vertical, we have Blood on on the Tracks Volume 13. This starts the real series of Blood on the Tracks, since the first 12 volumes are a prologue, and this is more of like a very calm volume. Definitely from the action-packed craziness from the first 12 volumes. I love this like change of tone, and I think it works really well with kind of setting up what we're going to be dealing with for the rest of the series. So yeah, A+ from Shizu Oshimi, my favorite Oshimi work that I've read. Last up here for Kodansha, we have Life Lessons with Uramichi Onii-San, volumes 7 and 8 in this omnibus format. Phenomenal series, super funny. This continues to just do great things, especially with some of our side characters. We get some development with them in this volume, which is great, but this continues to be fresh. It is nice that these releases are spaced out, because I don't think this is a bingeable series because it is episodic. But if you're an adult, especially a working adult, and you want somebody to just kind of like confide in, as this guy is trying to deal with like being a really struggling adult in the workplace, then this is going to be the one for you. We've got several ongoing series from 7 Seas. First up, we have World End Solte Volume 2 from Satoshi Muzukami. Volume 2 was even more confusing than Volume 1. It just kept adding more and more things about this world. I couldn't even keep track of it because Volume 1 was released like a year ago. Volume 3 doesn't even get released till the end of May 2024. This series is just wanting to die, and I don't think this is a Muzukami manga that I can recommend. Next up is the end of a series, The Savior's Book Cafe Story in Another World, Volume 5. This is an isekai fantasy story, and it's very well done. The ending was super satisfying, wrapped up everything well. It's a really good story about this girl who gets isekai into this fantasy world. She's considered a savior, she has all these powers, but she just wants to live a quiet life running a book cafe. Obviously, we all love manga, so this is a phenomenal starter isekai, and it's just done great. Now here's a series that made me a little bit sad this month. We have volumes 3 and 4 of Crossplay Love Otaku X Punk, and what I will say about these last 2 volumes was that it started adding characters and doing things with other side characters that made me annoyed, and that kind of sucks because that's what kind of makes things start to be the downfall of a series for me. So yes, definitely go into this with hesitations. When it's the 2 main people of the story, it's a lot of fun and it's super interesting, but these last 2 volumes got away from that, so this one is on the chopping block. I can't believe I'm saying it after I was saying it was one of my favorite reads of 2022, but yes, I don't know where this is gonna go. Last up from 7 Seas, we have Yokohama Kadashi Kiko. This is volume 2, and I think it's a 3-volume omnibus, so this should put 4, 5, and 6 together. What I absolutely love about this release is that they have whole chapters in full color, and that makes this a really nice deluxe edition. It's a really nice touch, but yeah, this is such a phenomenal manga. Super introspective. You know, we have life just going around us 100 miles per hour. In this manga, even though the world is ending, they're just saying, hey, slow down, take a step back, enjoy the simple things in life, and this is just a phenomenal manga everybody needs to have in their collection. All right, the last section here is the ongoing series for Viz Media. First up, we have Blue Box Volume 3 and Volume 4, and you know, I just don't know what to say about Blue Box. I'm having some problems with it. I just want this manga to be something that it isn't. I want it to be more sports oriented, but it's more slice of lifey, and I just feel like in terms of the character progression, in terms of like what we want to see out of the shtick of the manga, it's just not happening fast enough, or at least there's not enough things to just kind of make me want to keep going. I just don't know about this one. It might be one I read online, But on the other side, speaking of a manga that actually flips some things around, we have Rainbow Days Volume 3. I did do a first volume impression of this manga if you want to check it out, but I really did love Volume 3. Volume 2 kind of just went off in its own direction. Bunch of side stories, nothing to do with the main story, but now we're back to the main thing being the main thing. This manga did exactly what I wanted it to do, and I just can't wait to see where this one goes. Moving on, some more crazy shonen jumpiness, we have Dan Da Dan Volumes 2 and 3. Look, it's just absolutely insane. An insane premise, insane characters, insane art, insane battles, and that's all you want out of a shonen jump manga. I can turn my brain off when reading this. It is so crazy that it makes me like battle shonen, and that's what I like about shonen manga in general. And of course, we have to end it on some shoujo, so I did read volumes 5 to 8 of My Love Story, where almost done with this series. I absolutely love it so much. Kazuna Karahawa is one of the best storytellers out there. The way that she's able to deal with pacing issues in shoujo manga in terms of keeping a story going, keep things fresh, mini arcs. She is phenomenal at writing just these really small arcs that get resolved within a couple chapters or in a volume. The way she handles drama between characters is expertly done. The way she introduces characters into a story and how she integrates them into the story to not make them annoying or like really pessimistic against the main cast, phenomenal. Doesn't matter what demographic you read, I think everybody should have this in their manga collection as a great starter shoujo manga. And that is it for my May manga reading log for 2023. I hope you got something out of this video, a new recommendation, or at least a good idea of the trajectory of some of your favorite series. So as always, if you enjoy the content in my videos, make sure you hit that like button, tap the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you know when more of my videos come out, and I will see you in the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.